Okay. All right, it's a slow introduction. All right, anyways, I'm still getting the hang of it. So, thank you for being here. Tonight, we are doing episode number 2 of Another Day in Paradise. And I have the honor to have my dear friend with me. How should I call you? That's a good question
Whatever you
because
want.
your name is Hammadi, but everybody calls you Madi. I guess you're more
Yeah.
used to being called Madi, right?
Yeah, it depends. Some
It
people
depends.
call me in the US. People call me Hammadi too, like
Oh,
in the
Hammadi,
music. In the
really?
music,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, all right. Well,
But
they.
like in college and a lot of my friends call me Maddie.
Okay,
Even
so
here now.
all right, so that's a lot easier to pronounce. So we have my dear friend Madi with us tonight,
Thank you for
and
having me.
thank you for being here. So I called you here and I invited you to this podcast because I really I wanted you to share with us your experience in music and I wanted you to share with us what you do specifically in music because you have been doing music since I've known you since
Since I was
forever.
a kid, yeah.
Yeah, since you were a kid. So tell us a little bit about yourself and then I'll get everything rolling.
All right, so where should we start? Yeah, I've started music maybe I'd say middle school, high
Okay,
school,
okay.
like just writing lyrics,
Okay.
melodies. I started really composing music around 15, maybe, like music as far as instruments,
Okay.
playing the keyboard, recording, adding different layers to the track. So that was my first introduction, probably around 16, and I was learning piano and guitar, and so I was really into music at an early age, and so that was my start. And then at 18, I went to the U.S. for college and to pursue music
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
And so that's when.
So what did
it
you
came.
study in college there?
Actually, the first year I studied music.
Okay.
So I studied music theory, music
Okay.
business,
All
music
right.
recording, and then I switched to
So
business.
where did you go in the US?
Because it was just by coincidence because I was planning to go to Canada first.
Okay.
And I applied for a music program,
Mhm.
but I had to practice a little bit more the piano.
Okay.
So they said you needed 2 more years to practice before
Wow.
we could accept you.
Okay.
And I had some friends in the U.S. and then I just ended up
Cool.
applying for the college.
And where did you go in the US?
I went first in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Okay.
for more than 6 years. Then I moved to Tampa, Florida, for a couple of years.
All right. Cool.
And so I ended up studying business
Mhm.
with the majoring in marketing, but I was doing music the whole time.
Yeah, like you kept music on the
I
back
had
burner.
my home
Mhm.
studio, so whenever I wasn't studying or working, I was making music at home.
Okay.
And
So you started making music with instruments, right? With mainly guitar and keyboard.
yeah, like my first songwriting experience was with a guitar or a piano. And then
Yeah.
when I discovered what they call we'd call a home studio setup, where you could actually have a sequencer, meaning you would record, you would play a melody, and then you could go back and play a bass line after it.
Oh,
Or
okay. Yeah.
you could play the drums, you could add different elements, and you could basically produce a song. And that's why they call it music producer, because you're not just composing the music as a melody, but you're actually creating the sounds, or the arrangements, the vision for the track, so
Okay.
that when the artist wants to record, sing to the track, you already have everything set up for
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
So so I got into that at 16. I discovered a program. I think it was called Evolution, and it's a program that uses a language called the Midi, and the Midi allows you to basically record music as digital information on the computer.
Okay.
And then you can choose, once you record a melody or you play a melody, you can choose if you want to hear it as a piano, as a string, as a bass line, etc. So once I discovered that, that's it.
That was it.
So when I got to the US with the equipment available there, and then there's so many people into it, so I really got into it. I got my home studio, got my first equipment, and then I started producing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but then I started meeting people and they liked my music, and then I started getting more serious with time.
So then you finished. Did you finish your college degree with a bachelor in marketing, right?
Yeah, business. It's a business degree with a concentration in marketing, major in marketing. Yes.
Okay, and right after that,
Because it's different than a
never
marketing.
interrupt me. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
sorry. Because it's different than a marketing degree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know,
I hear
so
you.
it's a
I hear
business degree, but then there's a
you.
marketing major
And
associated with it.
and that's a pretty interesting question because when you that's a big dilemma I guess everybody has. I know some of my friends who are really into sports and they want to play soccer, etc. They say, okay, maybe I should get a degree, or maybe should I try to pursue my hobby or my passion. But was it hard to make this decision because you had a pretty solid degree, but you kept your passion in the back burner?
Well, it was actually it wasn't just to get a solid degree. I at an early age I said to myself, I want to be independent
Yeah.
in my music career. I want to be able to make the right decisions. I don't want someone to make those decisions for me. And so I figured, and I did my research, and a lot of the people that worked in labels and things like that that went to college, they studied marketing or communication.
Yeah, yeah.
So I figured if I get a business degree that allows me to understand business, because music business is a business.
Yeah,
after all.
absolutely.
So it would give me an edge over maybe so-called, between quotes, competition.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah.
have a business knowledge and then mix that with the music experience and then the marketing understanding that I would be better able to set up my own company eventually, or to better market myself,
Yeah.
etc. You
Okay.
know, just make
Alright.
better decisions.
Yeah, yeah.
career
So
decisions.
that wasn't so far away from what your passion. So it was
Yeah.
hand in hand with your passion.
Yeah.
So you need to know how to deal with the other side of just
Sure.
making music, which
Yeah.
is dealing with the business of making
Yeah.
music. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And how is the when you started? So after you graduated, what did you do right after? Did you
I
go
went-
full out music?
Yeah,
or-
because right when I was graduating from my bachelor program degree, I got a deal, my first professional deal. Well,
Oh, okay.
it wasn't the first deal, but it was the first industry deal, meaning I
That's
was signing
interesting.
with a label that had distribution with a big company, that had artists that were
So
doing
that's
well.
very interesting. So
Mm.
how did you get in touch with them?
It's a long story.
But hey, we have time.
So I actually, so I started making. So I got in the US at 2000. In 2000, started making music, and then when I worked with different producers, different artists, and then at one point I decided to produce my own artist, which is a good friend of mine, Travis.
Yeah, Travis. Yeah, of
Travis.
course.
So stage name is Travis, and so I produced we did an EP or 5 tracks project, and then I transferred to the University of North Carolina at Charlotte to finish my 2 last years
Okay.
of school, and one of my roommates was a guy they used to listen to a lot of rap music, and at that time I was producing soul, R&B, and rap
Okay.
tracks basically, and so I had all this equipment. I had a small room and I had all this equipment with me, you know, moving in. They call it MPCs, the sampler, sequencer, keyboards, synthesizers, all types of stuff. So they looked at me like, "What are you doing? You have a small room."
You barely have room for yourself.
So basically, yeah. And so he was into music, and then he listened to my beats and he liked them. He's like, "Hey, you know, he was from another city called Hickory, which is like 2-3 hours, I think, from Charlotte, or maybe less." Okay. And he said, "I have a good friend of mine. I went to school with him, or he knows him. He used to play basketball. So they said he's a good friend of mine. He's a good rapper. He played some of his music, and I liked it." And I was like, "Hey," he's like, "I'm going back home to visit. If you want, give me a beat CD, and I will drop it at his place."
Nice. Okay.
So that's what I did. I made a CD with my beats, gave it to him. He went, dropped the CD. Then I got in touch with the guy.
Okay.
And so Brandon, that's his name.
Shout out to Brandon.
Shout out to Brandon, by the way. We did a lot of amazing things, but that I will tell you more about after that. So anyways, I gave him my CD. We got in touch, started talking, and then Brandon was in touch with the CEO of this label. So when I did the project with Travis, he basically sent the music to this CEO of the label who loved the music and he wanted to get in touch with me. So
Okay.
he got in contact with me, and we started talking, you know,
Okay.
developing a relationship. And then I started sending him beats, you know.
Okay.
And they were more doing like conscious rap or underground rap. I mean, it wasn't what I was, because I was doing a lot of pop at a certain point, then I was doing R&B, then I was doing rap.
Okay.
So I was very versatile. And then when I started making some tracks that were closer to what they were looking for,
Mhm.
he said, hey, you know, I sent him one track I remember, and he went crazy over it. And he's like, hey,
This is it. I found it.
I'm signing you. So he sent me a contract. I was trying to get a lawyer, etc., to help me with. So I just did the research myself. I ended up signing the contract right after graduating from my bachelor.
Okay.
So basically, I had some time. I had finished my degree, so I was like, okay, now I'm done with this. Let's focus on music. And this is when. So being now in the industry, I started making more tracks, and I was producing Brandon's album.
Okay.
At that time.
So quick question. Sorry for cutting you up, but
did the
so
same.
so we're even, I guess.
We're even.
So how much money are we talking about? So you signed
There was no advance.
So
No advance, but I had a good deal because I retained all my publishing, all my ownership of my music.
So it was still yours.
Because usually when you sign a deal,
you hand
have
them
an
off.
advance.
It's not yours anymore.
If you get an advance, that means you're giving part of the ownership of your publishing usually. So it was just an what we call an administration deal, which means they get a percentage of the money they collect for me, or the opportunities that they bring to the table. But I retain the ownership of my publishing. Publishing, which means the rights to my music, basically. And so I signed with them, worked on the album for he was going by, the name that he was going by was B.I. at that time. So I produced 9 songs out of his album. And then the label got caught up with some other artists they had signed. They had signed this pretty legendary rap artist called CL Smooth that some people will know. So they were like focused on his project. So we went back to the backstage, basically. Like we weren't a priority anymore, and we were making college music. We were young. We were having fun, and they were more like a conscious type of. And but then after that, the music never got released. But we ended up getting some placements with like big TV shows, movies, etc.
So who worked on this placement? Did you contact them or?
So the label had a publisher.
Okay.
They had a deal with a publishing company in New York, and when we made the music with the rapper that I worked with B.I. or Trump as he goes by now. Basically, we sent the music to the label, and the label sent the music to the publisher. And so the publisher basically was pitching the music to different opportunities, and we ended up getting. Well, first I had some placements with MTV. I had some music that was licensed to some MTV shows like Robin Big, Yo Mama.
Okay.
Ron's
so you
House.
must have made some money out of that.
Yeah, but it depends. It's complicated because.
Did you make money or not?
I made money.
Okay, there you go.
But I'm not rich. Not yet.
But at least you are recognized by your peers.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, because it's a little bit more complicated than what it seems like. Because
so how does it work in a nutshell? How does it
for
work?
instance, the beats that I licensed to MTV, I didn't get any advance for them, but I gave royalties every time they used them.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily the best deal, but for an upcoming producer, your music gets exposure first to millions of people because so many
huge.
people so many people are watching MTV or used to at least
not
anymore.
Not anymore, yeah.
And but for instance, the first bigger placement we got on CSI Miami, and that was $7,000.
So same thing with just royalties.
No, 7,000 advance. Not advance. It's not an advance. It's a fee, production fee. So basically, they pay $7,000 to have the right to use the music, non-exclusively. So it's we can license it. You can
still sell it to somebody else.
We can still pitch it and not reselling, but you license it actually. You own the rights. That's why I said owning the rights. So you basically license it, but then again you gave royalties. This is where it's interesting. So every time that TV show is played, which is played all over the world, CSI Miami. Is pretty big.
It's a huge show.
And so I don't know if I still get royalties for CSR Miami, but I did get royalties for some years.
For a long time, yeah.
So, but what's interesting about this type of business of placing music in TV shows, movies, is that you can play the same song over and over and over and over again. So that song actually ended up being placed in like at least 5 shows, 5 different TV shows.
Okay.
So it was like sometimes it was 5,000, sometimes it was 7,000, sometimes it was 1,000.
Okay.
But
okay.
it depends.
Yeah.
And then after that, you get royalties for the rest of your life,
Which is awesome.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so if you build a good active catalog after whatever time it takes, then you can live off, hopefully, if
pretty comfortably with just
yeah.
the royalties.
But you need to have you need to have a lot of placements, or you need to have a hit song, or
Yeah, I see. But
so that's how the business works for a producer, at least.
Yeah, that's
which is different than an artist.
Yeah, so the artist doesn't make any like the artist. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
No, the artist, for instance, in this for the CSR Miami, basically the 7,000 gets split between the person that plays the music, the label that signed us,
that helped you with the deal,
and then in that situation in particular, I'm making the music, and then there's the lyrics. So it's 50% for the music and 50% for the lyrics.
So that's, you take everything.
Half of it.
Yeah. Well, 50 and 50. That's 100.
Yeah, but I didn't write the lyrics.
Yeah.
I just made the music.
So you just share with. Okay. So you play 2 roles. So you give only a little bit, like a share to the person who sings.
So a song is 100%. 50 goes to the music and 50 for the lyrics. So whoever wrote the lyrics is gonna get 50%. Whoever then made the music is gonna get 50%.
Okay.
This is just to simplify.
Yeah.
Usually
I
there's
see.
more people
I see.
involved, and you break it down.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So and do you think that this is the right way to live off of your music? Like, it's better to try to place it in as many places as possible, like shows, documentaries, TV shows, movies, or anything. This is the way to go. Like, even because we are here in Morocco, and I know there are a lot of artists, and well, we'll get to this now or whenever you want, or maybe a little bit later. But I feel like they don't really think globally. They don't try to sell outside of Morocco, and I think the best way to do it is just let it go through internet, and people might pick it up, and this is the best deal for you. And do you think this is how do artists make money now? What is the best route to make money?
Or
in the US? Let's start with the US.
In the US, well, the business has changed a lot because of streaming.
Yeah.
So when I started first producing in the US, when I was there, when I was dealing with the managers at that time, before I signed my deal, it was the music industry was making so much more money. Well, not so much more money, but they was making a lot of money out of CDs, out of selling CDs.
Yeah.
Because CDs were expensive, and you liked one song, but you bought the whole album.
Yeah, you have to buy the whole thing. Yeah.
So, and at that time, it was all about connections. Like, it wasn't about, oh, you market yourself online and you get discovered. No, you needed to know the right people, the people that work at these labels, the A&Rs, as they call them, artists and repertoire. Those are the people that make the decision of which songs are going to be on which album, for instance. Either you have the connection of the artist, his manager, or the A&R of the... You needed to have a connection. But that changed with the internet, obviously, because now you could put your music out there online, and then you could get discovered.
Yeah.
So at that time, we were making music money from selling CDs. It was a lot of money out of that. So you could make one song on a big project, and that's it. You're good. You make maybe, I don't know, you get an advance of from a publisher, you get your royalties, etc. etc. So I've known people that had a couple of placements with big artists, and they made a lot of money.
Yeah, they made it just for that. Okay.
But then now, because we don't sell CDs, and then iTunes doesn't work as good as before. People don't buy.
Does iTunes pay you any money or not?
If you sell, yes.
If you have a lot of hears.
No, are we talking about iTunes or Apple Music?
Oh, it's different.
Yeah, iTunes, they sell music.
Okay.
So you sell a track for 99 cents or 129, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But if you're on streaming, which is Apple Music, Spotify, etc., you don't make a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. In my opinion, as far as I know, I mean, some people might say
Yeah,
differently,
yeah.
but I don't think, I mean, it doesn't compare anywhere near what was happening with the CDs
Okay.
or iTunes,
Yeah, yeah,
selling
yeah.
digital copies of
I
music.
mean, this is the new way of selling content, and even like YouTube is a new way of selling content. And I know that, for example, YouTube, a lot of people think, oh yeah, some YouTube stars, they make a lot of money by making stupid pranks, etc., etc., and they do make a lot of money. But you have to have like a solid maybe like 500,000, 300,000. Then you start, yeah,
Subscribers or fan. Yeah.
subscribers and views. And like, it's not just like with your group of friends. So sometimes, as a joke, some of my friends, when they see these videos, they say, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell my 2 friends at the office. Dude, 2 friends, just
It's not gonna
don't
make it.
bother, man. 2
Yeah.
friends. First of all, of course, like, it's easy to say, well, I don't do this for the views, but of course I would love for this channel to be big and to expand the community and to share and to have more interesting people like you, because obviously I'm gonna end up running out of the cool people that I personally know, and I'm gonna need to expand to people in the community that are pretty cool and awesome. But I guess it's the same thing with streaming, with music. If you have like a couple hundred people listening to it, don't even
No.
bother. Like, it's a waste of electricity. At that
Even the
point.
biggest songs
Yeah,
that have billions of people listening,
yeah, they don't make that.
they don't
much.
make that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. So now it's a different business model. Like, if you look at all the big artists, Rihanna, DJ Khaled, all these people that are on top of their game right now, they have their brands. So they do sponsorships, they do all types of deals to compensate for the money lost. Well, also because it's a new age and the music is a very powerful marketing tool.
Absolutely,
also.
absolutely.
So you have to leverage that. But making money off music is not the same as it used to be. But me personally, I don't really care too much for the Spotify, the streaming, etc., because I feel like I stick to what I know, and for me, I've made money through royalties, and so I'm focused on building my catalog to have more placements, to work with more artists in places where I can get royalties, because that's how I get paid as a composer, producer.
Yeah. And you don't need to have like major hits, like international hits. You can have just like decent songs and enough that you can place them well enough and they could bring you some money.
Sure, but it takes longer. I mean,
it takes longer, but in the long run,
like,
I guess it's
honestly, I could, if I wanted to live off just synchronization, meaning placing music in movies and TV, I wouldn't be very comfortable. So but if I get placements with major artists, which I've had before, but it didn't pan out the way it was supposed to. But if I get like,
so which ones are we talking about? For
I
instance?
had a song with Ludacris and 2 Chainz.
Okay.
But I used a sample in that song, and the label Def Jam at that time couldn't clear the sample. They asked for too much money.
Okay.
The sample the owners of
the
sample, the
well,
label
Def Jam, obviously everybody
Yeah.
knows them.
and so the song was released on a mixtape, DJ Drama mixtape.
Okay.
Very big DJ from Atlanta, but it was supposed to be a single, which means they were gonna make a video for it, they were gonna promote it, etc. So but I know I have access to these type of artists because of the contacts that I have from the US. So that's, for me, if placing music with big artists is much more interesting than just building a catalog of placing music in movies. This is good. It's like, it's all good money at the end of the day, but it's a different ball game.
Yeah. It's good to try to place your music, but at the same time, try to hit those big artists.
Exactly.
Yeah, like if you do both, that would be a good. So, quick question: how does somebody get in touch with 2 Chainz and Ludacris?
I had it was my managers at that time. No, it wasn't me.
Hey, Mr.
No.
2 Chainz.
It's. I mean, honestly, now with the internet, you can get obviously noticed and discovered, etc. But it's still it's all about your relationships.
Yeah.
And I learned that at an early age with some mistakes, obviously, because I passed on some really good opportunities to network, because I didn't know any better how to network properly. But I know now even more that it's all about like they say, it's all about who you know. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't get the placement by myself, or it would have been difficult. But it was my managers. Basically, just to tell you how it worked, I was basically for at least a year and a half just producing music and sending it to my managers, and they were sending it to a bunch of different artists, labels, from Bad Boys to Def Jam and they were sending music, my tracks all the time. And then we just learned that Ludacris and 2 Chainz had one of my beats, and they recorded it and they wanted to release it. That's when they contacted us.
Wow.
But it was like almost like you have to produce a lot of music
Yeah, and hope that
and
one
good
catches a
music,
big
not
fish.
only just music. You
Yeah,
have to produce tracks that are ready to be released. That have the standard, like industry standard quality, and then from there. If you're lucky, I mean, if you work hard, because it's not lucky, you get lucky if you work hard.
Yeah, well, one goes with the other.
That's how it works, and then you get a placement. And once you get a placement and you get a single and that song goes big, then people start calling you. So at first it's very difficult, but once you have like a track record, as they call it, then it's easier to get more placements, because then now your name is a household name.
Yeah, and can they sometimes call you and place an order and say, hey,
Yes,
listen, this is
it
what we're
happened.
thinking about?
I had my manager sometimes tell me special requests. They're looking for this, or they're looking for that, or they want you to flip this sample. They want you to take this sample. So I has like a Incubus, I think, sample. For instance, one day they sent me the track, and they said, make something out of this, which I did, and I sent it, and didn't make it to the, it didn't get placed. But you get requests. I mean, that's why it's so important to have good managers that are in the industry, because they know other A&Rs, they know other managers, and they know what they're looking for. And so if you get that information, obviously it's much easier to compose or to produce a track that caters to that specific artist.
For sure. So let's talk about so quick thing that I wanted to mention. When you talked about owning the rights to a song, I was listening on, was it NPR or something lately, and the Beatles, when they made the music, they became legendary pretty quickly. I know they remodeled the band pretty quickly. One left, and then I'm not a big connoisseur of the Beatles, but anyways, so then they made it really, really big, and they didn't realize that actually you own the song. They thought that, okay, we made it, so it's ours, but actually somebody can come and buy the rights. And I think Paul McCartney was a big friend of Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson, he said, and he was telling him, you should try to, he gave him some advice, you should do this, you should do that. And Michael was like, yeah, cool. And he said, the best thing to do is to buy music and own music. It's the right way to do things, etc. And plus, it's good business, it's good money. Plus, you work with artists, you work with music, so you're not gonna go do real estate, and you don't know much about real estate. You have to rely on somebody. But there, you rely on your taste, you rely on your knowledge about music. And he said, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna buy your music." I said, "No, come on, what are you talking about?" Yeah, right, okay, you're joking. And he said, "No, seriously." And
which
then
he ended up doing.
He ended up doing it, and. He said, "Michael, come on, man, like, give me back my music. I'll buy it from you. How much did you buy?" He said, no, it's worth a lot more. And he said, "It's nothing personal. This is just music. This is just business. I bought your music, and I'm not releasing it." And
I think he bought the publishing of the catalog. Catalog
Yeah.
of the Beatles.
So that's pretty crazy. And of course, it's worth millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that actually buying music, some people do a business by just buying this is like some people invest in real estate, other people invest in music. They buy upcoming artists and hoping they will make
which
it, etc.
I do also myself.
It's but you have to have a certain amount of knowledge. You cannot just
you have to have the right contacts, the right knowledge to understand the business.
So not everybody can do that, but that's pretty cool. So let's go back to Morocco.
Yes.
So you worked with the with the 2 Chainz. With the you almost made it, or at least you got really close to closing a deal with Ludacris and 2 Chainz, and you worked with some other artists, and and then you came back to Morocco. What was the music scene in Morocco, and what is it right now?
It was really interesting because I was completely disconnected when I was in the US. I wasn't coming back
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
often.
yeah.
I didn't know what was going on, but I knew some groups from when I grew up in Meknes.
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
how we know each
Yeah,
other.
absolutely.
And it was interesting because there were all these festivals. There were so many things happening. There was clearly a difference between when I had left
Yeah,
Morocco,
yeah.
and then when I came back in end of 2008.
yeah.
So I came back. I had an understanding of the U.S. market, but I had no understanding of Morocco at that point.
So who were the big names back then?
At that time,
Ashkane,
as far as
obviously.
rappers,
Ashkane were
big.
big from Meknes. Shout
Yeah.
out to Ashkane. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
and,
awesome, and they still are. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had
Maybe Big
Done
a little
Big,
bit later,
Done Big.
Done Big a little bit later,
Done Big was-
Muslim, etc., etc.
Muslim, I think, came after.
Yeah,
But anyway, those were the biggest rap
Fnair,
groups at
etc.,
that time.
etc.,
Yeah,
yeah.
Fnair, etc. And so I ended up working with Ashkane
Okay.
and Done Big too.
working with them, doing what?
I produced music that
Okay.
I composed tracks,
Okay.
produced tracks that they ended up using on their albums,
Okay.
and they did pretty well. The songs did pretty well, and it
How
was
did they
interesting.
make money at that time?
Touring mainly.
Touring and also CDs. I remember at the very beginning of
CDs, but
Ashkane. No, not
much
really.
money
No?
in CDs. No.
Okay, because they
No.
were like, "Hey guys, just buy CDs." And I remember
Maybe
at that time,
Mm.
we were burning CDs all the time.
Yeah.
Like you could just like copy a CD, and they were like, "Guys, if you really like us, please refuse to buy copies. Just buy the real
Yeah.
one. It's not that expensive. We are printing them ourselves. We are cutting the pages. We are making the designs, making everything ourselves. Just support us. Don't buy the copies. I know it's cheaper. If like just buy the original, you are helping us out." And I felt like this was a really good message, and a
Yeah.
lot of people, I know a lot of people, because they were really hands on. They went to the stores, they delivered the CDs themselves. They were walking on the streets and like stars, etc. I know you went to school with one of them, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah. And I know my brother did too. So but the way they made money at that time, you said like it's just touring.
Well, the CDs that they were selling as independent, it was before they got their deal because they got signed to Platinum Music.
Okay.
Or Platinum Music.
Okay.
I don't know how they, but which was like a Universal kind of division or something.
Okay.
But I had worked with them. Actually, I came back from the States to visit, and they were working on their first album when they got signed. Which the album did really well, but I don't think they made much money. I mean, because they were selling CDs for very cheap.
Yeah, for
you know.
very cheap.
And they weren't selling like it's not the US. You're not gonna sell millions.
they're
of
not
copies,
selling
yeah.
millions. They're
If they're
selling a
selling
few thousands. Yeah.
Well, they actually the first major album they dropped, I think from what I heard, they sold over 100,000 copies.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty huge for
But-
Moroccan markets.
but
And
they-
rap at that time was very
Yeah,
new.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was not something as popular
Yeah.
as right now.
But I think for most artists that are in Morocco, because you don't get really royalties, you don't sell CDs, you don't.
Yeah, that's something else we want to
Yeah.
talk
so
about.
you
later,
really
okay?
you really make your money from like all the festivals because there's so many festivals now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do shows left and right. You might sell some merchandising if you make some hoodies,
Yeah,
or
some
t-shirts,
t-shirts,
but
etc.
mainly shows.
So let's talk about the shows. How much money are we talking about? Like $10,000? $10,000?
Yeah, you
Something?
can get there.
And there are 4 of them.
I don't know
Maybe-
how much in they make now, or I've
Yeah.
noticed one time, yeah, it was around that price. But I don't really because I'm more like behind the scene.
Yeah, no,
I don't
that's
really
true.
Get into
But
the
but my point is, if you have a band of 5 people, well, if you think about it, wow, they made $10,000 in one show. Yeah, but divided by 5 or 4,
then
that's
take off.
already, and then
The
you have
manager
all the
takes a
managers, the
percentage.
technician, the this, the that, the transport. So there's not that much money left.
Yeah, but if you're doing, I mean, it depends. If you're touring a lot and you're doing shows overseas also, you know, and they
Yeah,
usually go
yeah, in
to
France, etc.,
Spain,
Belgium,
etc.,
etc.
Belgium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's a way to structure it. I mean, I think what's the thing that is the most complicated part is that in Morocco, you're not really well structured. You don't have like in the US, you have your publisher, you have your manager, you have your agent, you have your booking agent or whatever. You have all these people working together to bring you money from different sources, you know?
Yeah.
So you don't really have that over here. So you don't really structure. But you could make a lot more money if you were a little bit more structured. Meaning if you had a manager, if you had a booking agent, if you have all these people, the booking agent was going to bring you shows, and maybe the manager is going to get you some deals with some sponsors or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think because Morocco is still trying to structure, I mean, we have a lot of things compared to before, but there's still a lot of work.
A lot to do. Yeah.
And it takes time to develop because it has to be, there's experience behind it, you know, to be a manager, to be a booking agent.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of them. But I don't know. I'm honestly, like, now I'm a little bit disconnected because it's for me as a producer, it's hard to focus on the Moroccan market because I have, you know, if I live off my royalties, I need to look for markets where there's higher opportunities to get that type of
you gotta
situations.
So in terms of royalties, where are we at right now in Morocco? There are no royalties, pretty much.
No, there are royalties, but I don't think it's a lot because we don't have a lot of radios. Because royalties, how does it work? You know, your music gets played in radios, it gets played in different, I don't know, platforms, whatever, and that's TV, how you make money, TV, etc. But if you don't have, first of all, if you don't have a lot of platforms, then obviously it's gonna lower the amount of money you might get, and then it depends how much they're paying for every, you know, time they play your song. Which, again, for me, it's very hard because I compare it to the US because this is where I got into the professional world of making music. And you compare that and you have so many radio, as you know yourself. So many radios, so many TV shows, so many, I mean, so there's so many opportunities to. Here, it's I don't think someone can live off royalties yet.
Yeah, it's peanuts.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
But there are, I think for me, like, if you're a little bit structured as an artist, if you have the right team, when I mean structured, you need to have the team, then you can make a decent living with music.
So what would you recommend? What would you recommend for, because right now, the Moroccan scene, I'm not sure if it's like, again, I'm not really, I'm not a big connoisseur in all this, but like, I feel like there are a lot, like rap music has been very, very popular these last 5-10 years.
I think it's the most popular
music right now. And we have rappers coming out of everywhere, from Casablanca, from this, from that. And so how are those rappers making a living?
I don't know, honestly. Like, I think the ones that I know, I think shows. If you're not making shows, it's very hard to make money. I think some of them make money some in other ways,
like YouTube. I know they make a little bit, but those of them who make it big, like if you make 100, 200,000, like,
but you know, for me, honestly, I think there's one thing that I noticed in my brief experience working in the Moroccan market is that I mean, I think a lot of artists don't think outside of the box. They only see what they know, Morocco, but there's a market beyond Morocco. Overseas, there's a lot of Moroccans that live overseas that want to listen to local rappers or musicians, etc. So you can tour here, but you can tour outside. Okay, but you can also sell merchandise in here, T-shirts or whatever, and you can sell them outside. You can sell your music on iTunes and all these platforms outside also. If you get restructured, and then you gotta have the right team, obviously. And then there are some artists that are able to sign overseas with 2 labels in France, etc. But honestly, like, I don't follow as much because now I'm
you're
more
not
like,
focused on
like I have other, I would call it, responsibilities because I have artists that are in the US that are signed to my company, so I need to make sure that I find them opportunities. I have my publisher there, my management that I used to have is still there, so So yeah, I'm not as well. I can't really tell you a lot of details
Yeah,
about the
yeah, yeah.
Moroccan market
Okay,
as
I
much
see,
as.
I see, I see. What kind of music do you listen to?
It's a good question. I don't listen to the music I make,
Okay,
or I mean, like, I don't listen to a lot of rap music.
okay.
Although
You're
I've
not
made.
really into rap.
No, I
Okay,
like rap, but I grew up in. I mean, I was influenced by my brothers and a lot of. So I listen. I listen obviously to Sade, Bob Marley,
okay.
Miles Davis. Uh,
Have
uh,
you heard about an artist called? I'm sure I'm gonna butcher his name. So he's French. His name is Riles or Riles. I'm not sure how he spell it. I will put the description and I will let you hear it. But he is really really cool. So this guy, I am still surprised by his English, to be honest, because he's French, and I'm not saying that French people don't speak English really well, but this guy's English is like banging. It's like he was born in Brooklyn, and um, he started making music in his bedroom. That's why I made the connection with you. So he made music in his bedroom, and everything he learned. So he didn't know how to do jack shit. Everything he learned from internet. He started mixing. He started producing. He started coming up with super awesome beats, and he made a lot of songs in English, and his music is really really cool. That's what I always listen to. I listen to it at least very often, um, and he had a challenge. He challenged himself to do. I don't want to be mistaken, but I think it's to do one song every week or
mhm.
something like that for 52 weeks or something like that.
For a
Or
year.
yeah, for a year. So every week he came up with a
Mhm.
song, and I don't know what it says about music production, but almost all the songs are like awesome.
Mhm.
Once a week, he made a very cool song, and after that, he. While he was working on his challenge, he was making maybe he was in his maybe halfway there. He started getting noticed, and he would posting them online. And sometimes he would write in his so he would make a video clip, not like a video clip that would be very expensive, just some graphic that would be going around, etc. So you don't get bored while you listen to the song. And he would say something like "made in my bedroom"
Mm.
and "produced in my bedroom" or something like that. Very cool guy. I recommend you check it out. He is, and then he was midway. He was contacted by some big production companies, and they said, "Hey, listen, Sony or some big labels." They said, "Well, we want to work with you," and he said, "Okay, but I want to finish the challenge first. I want to
Mm.
finish the year. So come back when I'm done." And he finished. I'm not sure where who he signed up with now, but really cool song. He said he learned English with like that. He learned to play guitar with just internet. He learned
Yeah.
to produce music with just the internet. So we have right now, like when you just started, the challenges were um, technical, but also to have access was very
Equipment
difficult.
was much more expensive.
Yeah, equipment was expensive, and how to use them,
How to
tutorials,
use it? Oh
etc.,
yeah.
was also inaccessible.
Yeah.
Now, everything is a lot cheaper,
Yeah.
and everything you go online, you have classes and trainings and tutoring about everything you want. You can learn to play guitar, you can do anything like that, and yeah, so he's a big inspiration. He made some really cool songs, and yeah, and the difficulty of so now I guess a lot of people believe that it's very easy to make a beat. It's very easy to
It's
make.
easier than before.
Okay, so because right now, for example, the BPMs are all aligned. When you introduce like bass or whatever, it's perfectly aligned with your tempo, etc., etc. So what do you say to people who say, well, it's easy, you just have to be lucky and to come up with something cool? The softwares make the work for you.
No, no, I don't think we're at that point. I mean, the software make it easier, but it's you still like that debate is not recent. It used to have we used to have it even before. I used what they called. I started with the MPC 2000. It's a sampler sequencer. Now you have everything on software. Now it's easier, but it doesn't mean like anybody can just make it.
Okay.
You still have to come up with melodies, or sometimes you use samples. That's true. But I mean, there still needs to be a person behind it that kind of orchestrates all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's easier, but it's not as easy as it used to be. And I think you still have. I think for me, a good song transcends all that equipment stuff, because you can make a beat, but are you making a song? And what I mean by making a song, if you take a guitar and you try to play that song, is it gonna still sound good? Or is it gonna sound like it doesn't make any more sense because that beat had some sounds in it or some elements that make it work? But when you translate that into a piano or into with a guitar and you try to sing that song, it sounds really bad. So I think that's why I don't feel like if you're a songwriter and composer and you're not just a beat maker, machines are not going to replace you. You still need to come up with a good song, with a great song. It's not just a sound or two that's going to make it work and that's it. So, but for rap, I mean, yeah, you're making a beat most of the time, so it's the sounds that you select. But there's so many people that make beats nowadays. So many people.
That's true.
But for me, like, you still have the great songwriters, producers that are still gonna be legendary, even if you have all these beat makers. I think when you have a genius mind, when someone has that type of creativity, I don't think it's about equipment or not equipment. It's the soul behind it. It's the person, it's the brain that functions and imagines what kind of melodies, what kind of chord progressions I'm gonna make, what kind of sounds I'm gonna choose. I don't think it's
you don't think like it's not going anywhere.
I don't think like people that really are talented, they're not going anywhere. That are musicians and play, have a musical mind. That if you look at, like, for me, I look at some of the producers and they're still around. They haven't disappeared.
But is it because they have a big name and it's prestigious to work with this guy and this guy, or is it because really their beats makes the
name,
difference?
yeah, of course, but the name was built because they have mastered their craft. They have gotten so good and they have a distinguished sound.
Yeah.
That they don't sound like anybody else. You know that they may, like, for instance, if you think of the Neptunes from like Pharrell Williams, like which is a great inspiration. I always looked up to them. You know that it's their song when you hear the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, like it has something that's
no one can reproduce
their DNA,
that. Or a Timbaland or Knife Wonder or any of these producers, they're still around. They're like in their 40s, 50s. They're still around. They're still producing great music with like on big projects. And you have the new producers and they're doing great also, but I don't think they can replace.
Yeah. All right.
That's my opinion.
That's cool. Yeah, no, man. Hey, you're the guy who knows the most about this. So tell us about you. Where can we find you? What are you working on? What are your latest news? So do you have like a website or an Instagram people can follow you?
Yeah, Instagram or website, Hammadi Boujmal.
Okay, we'll put everything on the description.
Or Instagram, Hammadi Boujmal. Instagram.
Okay. Are you really active on Instagram, or do you prefer? Yeah.
Not too much lately.
So what's the best way to contact you or to send you some ideas?
Yeah, on my email. My email is on the website.
Okay.
Or on Instagram, you can send me a message. But now what I'm working on, I've been co-writing songs with my friend Travis lately.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly for our catalog to place more music in movies and TV shows. We've had some movie placements in the past years. So
which ones?
First movie was called A Fan. I don't even remember the name.
Okay.
The second movie was called My Man is a Loser. It's a comedy.
Okay.
So we had music on that one too.
Cool.
But we've had, we didn't talk about the music placement.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Get a little closer to the mic and let's do it.
No, which you can find on my website. But like I think the most popular one is Breaking Bad so far. But you know, the with which I'm working again with Trump 24/7.
So his name is Trump
Now it's
24/7.
Trump 24/7.
All right. Well.
And he's like a brother to me. We
Okay.
mostly talk online. We've
Okay.
met a couple of times,
Okay.
but we've been talking, making music together since 2005.
Okay. All right. So.
Yeah. And so yeah, we've had Breaking Bad. We had
So let's
CSI
talk about
Miami.
Breaking Bad. That's pretty cool. Do you remember how you learned about
Yeah.
when they called you? They said, "Hey, Madi, you got
You
picked
wanna
up
know
for
what's
Breaking
funny?
Bad." Tell me.
Breaking Bad was not known at that time.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a show.
You're like, Breaking what? Yeah, sure,
Breaking Bad,
sure,
yeah.
whatever.
It's like, see, you know, and I don't watch TV, so I'll tell you even something even funnier is that when Shelly Bay, when the publisher sent us the email saying, oh yeah, it was the label actually say, hey, CSI Miami wants to use this song. What's
CSI
Miami?
what?
I don't watch
Miami?
TV.
Okay.
Now I watch more TV than before. So I was
Yeah.
like, and then I told Brandon, oh, CSI. He's like, yeah, CSI is pretty big. I was like,
CSI
okay,
is
cool.
I'll
That's pretty
say
cool.
CSI
So
is.
they were all excited. I was excited too because it was money for me to help me pay for college and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. But no, we've had so many placements with him, and we're working on more music.
Cool.
Because that's something that I understand really well, like
Mhm.
the how to sync. We call it sync,
Yeah,
sync,
yeah,
the
yeah,
sync
okay.
business. How to sync music with movies, video games, commercial, etc. So I've been working on that for a few years to build my catalog, so that
Okay.
I could have something going on while I actually go back into producing, recreating a sound. So now I'm back to that where I'm producing music again. I'm not what I want to be yet because it's been some time. But yeah, I'm working on building the catalog, working with different businesses. Because I look at it as a business,
Yeah.
you know, the building the catalog for placements in movies and TV shows. So I work with a company in LA. I work with a producer in LA. I work with a couple of people in Atlanta, New York, Charlotte, Tampa, Florida, Chicago. Well, Chicago not anymore, but I work with all these people, and it's mainly American music. But sometimes we place Moroccan music too. I've had a chance to place a song for Ashkane.
Nice.
I've recently had a request also for Ashkane. Well, not a request, but they were gonna pitch it to an opportunity. But it's mostly American music, like rap,
Okay.
R&B, soul. Those are the types of music that I play the most.
Nice, cool. Well, that's very interesting. So that's pretty much what you're working on. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for us.
Okay.
We're gonna roll it out. This was pretty cool, and we should definitely do it again. And like this is a format where, we talk about whatever. We happen to talk about music because you are very I would say expert on the field. Or at least in the States, not so much in Morocco, but yeah, that's pretty interesting to know, and also like what was surprising for me is to realize like how do people what's the best way to make money, because the industry is changing a lot, and a lot of people think, okay, yeah, I can make music, I'm a good musician, I'm this, I'm that, but then it's almost as important to know what to do with your music. If you have great music and you don't put it in the right platforms between the right hands, then your music just fades away. And like the industry has been changing with the CDs, and then now the streaming, and as you said, the streaming is not so it doesn't reward you as much as it should be, I guess. And I know a lot of people have been trying to produce streaming, like I know what's his name, the guy who's married to Beyonce, what's his name?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z also came up with the Tidal, whatever.
Title, yeah.
Tidal, yeah, and a lot of
so
people
many
are
other
into
things. That he's a good example of how a rapper turned well, he's still a rapper, but as a businessman,
but he's a pretty banging businessman, and there is like you said, it's a very interesting to notice that, yeah, if you only make music and you don't focus on the other side of making money with your music, then then you're just giving away your music to the wrong people, and maybe you're not going anywhere with your music. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for being here. This was
Thank you
another
for
day in
having me.
paradise,
Yes,
and
it
I will.
was paradise.
It was paradise, right? All right, so I will see you around, man.
All right.